Envision yourself standing amidst the rubble of what once was unwavering fidelity. Not merely wounded, not simply deceived, you're eviscerated, emptied by a silence that doesn't just persist, it torments. You survey the battleground of your existence, and the one visage you believed would remain steadfast, the one who vowed never to waver, gone. No forewarning, no elucidation, just a silence so deafening it cleaves your essence in two. And remarkably, you're not wailing. You're not shedding tears. You're standing in the devastation, heart pounding like tribal drums, wondering how someone you named sister could disappear when the inferno reached you. Because treachery isn't always a blade in your spine. Sometimes it's lips that remain sealed when your reputation hangs in the balance. It's the ally who witnessed them coming for you and chose serenity over valor. It's the realization that some women are constructed for prosperity but not adversity. They'll rejoice during your triumphs but vanish the moment your name faces scrutiny. And that silence, it's not vacant. It's 1,000 verities you refuse to acknowledge, all clamoring simultaneously. If you've ever tasted such silence, if you've ever clenched your teeth gazing at your phone awaiting something that never arrived, this recording isn't contempt. It's a metamorphosis, a summons to battle for the woman who trusted too profoundly and bled too discreetly. This isn't about vengeance. This concerns reclaiming authority. Because if they abandoned you in the blaze, then the fire is now yours. To incinerate fragile connections, to ignite new strength, to forge something more resolute than betrayal, clarity. Seneca didn't compose for acclaim. He wrote in isolation, surrounded by facades and treachery. He counseled an emperor knowing most who smiled at him would trade him for gold. Yet through that tempest of falsehoods, he found an anchor: you possess power over your psyche, not external circumstances. He reminded himself that loyalty reflects, it doesn't guarantee. That betrayal isn't your transgression, but your response, that's your resurrection. You cannot dictate who departs, but you absolutely determine who you become after their exit. So if you're listening to this, understand you're not fractured. You're being honed. The silence you endured, that was your forge. Every scar on your spirit evidences your journey through flames they couldn't even confront. From this moment forward, cease waiting for apologies. Stop questioning why they didn't support you. You don't require their words. You need yourself, completely, savagely, and unapologetically. Post a comment immediately and inscribe this like a battle vow: I command my fortitude, not my wounds. Let it rage in their absence. Let it resonate louder than their silence ever could. And if this struck you as if carved from your own memory, then commit. Subscribe. Remain with this narrative. Because what follows isn't solace, it's confrontation with yourself, with your history, with the anguish they left behind. You've been subdued long enough. It's time to transform silence into steel. Now, let's explore deeper. Silence is a choice, not an accident. Silence never occurs accidentally. It is a deliberate action, a conscious decision made when the universe demands response. Yet someone remains motionless, muted, refusing to advance when you require them most. You've experienced it, the weight of that silence, heavier than any articulated word. You exposed your soul, shared your struggles, your agony, your unfiltered truth, and all they offered was nothing. No words, no reassurance, just an empty, suffocating void. That silence wasn't a linguistic error. It wasn't forgetfulness. It wasn't a simple lapse in communication. It was a weapon, a declaration. Their refusal to appear for you was their answer, a resounding, unspoken, I choose indifference. In Seneca's wisdom, if it is improper, refrain from doing it. If it is untrue, refrain from saying it. And their silence was the truth they elected to present. It represented their judgment of you, not the absence of words but the absence of empathy, the intentional withdrawal of connection. This isn't merely a moment to dismiss. This is an awakening. The truth slices deeply. Their silence didn't concern your worth. It revealed their weakness. It wasn't about your failure. It was about them revealing their authentic nature. You trusted them to stand beside you, but they opted for silence, to stand aside, to desert you in your moment of need. You will experience the sting of that betrayal temporarily. It will haunt your thoughts, leave you questioning everything. Did I request too much? Was I excessively vulnerable? Did I misinterpret this? Let this be your lesson, not in vulnerability, but in resilience. You cannot control their silence, but you can control your response. Stop excusing it. Stop finding reasons to justify their absence. This is your invitation to rise. You now understand who they truly are. And with that clarity, you can seize the reins of your life, knowing that trust isn't a blanket you extend to anyone who asks. Trust is earned through action, not words. Let this moment, this silence, forge the strength you need to never settle for less than you deserve. You aren't weaker for trusting them. You're stronger for learning. Their silence exposed them. And now you are liberated, free to depart from those who refuse to stand beside you, free to select those who speak louder with their actions than their hollow words. This is your pivotal moment. The silence they left, let it fuel your determination, propel you forward. You are constructing a life where trust is sacred, not freely given, and never squandered again. A silent friend hides their true intentions. There's a frigid, constricting sensation when someone's silence feels excessively calculated. It's not merely quiet. It's premeditated. It's a veil, a covering concealing something far darker than immediately apparent. You sense it instinctively, something's amiss. Epictetus said, "The greatest revenge is to be unlike the one who performed the injury." But this isn't about pursuing revenge. It's about transcending those who hide behind silence, masking their true intentions like cowards behind barriers. It's about exposing them for what they are, manipulators. We've all been there, haven't we? That friend who said nothing when you needed them to defend you. When others demolished you, they remained silent. When you revealed your soul in vulnerability, they withheld support. That silence wasn't neutral. It was a weapon, a shield protecting their selfish motivations. Perhaps they envied you. Perhaps they feared you would perceive through their facade. Either way, their silence wasn't merely silence. It was the loudest betrayal dressed in the quietest form. This type of betrayal doesn't scream. It whispers. It hides openly. It's subtle, easily ignored, easily dismissed until you're left alone in the aftermath questioning everything. That silence, it's not just a moment of indecision. It's a calculated maneuver, a cold, deliberate choice to protect their own agenda, to let you fight your battles alone while they observe comfortably from the shadows. It cuts deeper than any loud insult. It's the kind of betrayal that lingers, festers, and grows within you, making you question who your true allies really are. Stoicism teaches us that their hidden intentions, however dark, do not define us. They define them. You must remember this: their silence doesn't reflect your worth. It reflects their weakness. Their inability to be authentic with you, to stand by you when it matters most, reveals everything you need to know. And here's the truth: you surpass that. You're stronger than their silent games. Their betrayal fuels your growth. It sharpens you and teaches you the value of transparency in relationships. You're not naive for trusting them. You're human. But now you're wiser. Let their silence be your mirror. Let it show you whom to keep close and whom to discard. Build relationships with those who stand beside you even when silence could benefit them. Surround yourself with those who speak their truth even when uncomfortable. Their hearts are open, not hidden. And with that honesty, you will forge a connection stronger than any silence could ever destroy. Silence betrays your vulnerability. When you open yourself to someone, when you bare your soul, sharing your deepest fears, your failures, your dreams, you're offering them a part of yourself that nobody else witnesses. It's a rare, sacred act of trust. You've lowered your defenses, discarded your armor, and in that vulnerable moment, you are raw. But when their response is silence, it's not merely the absence of words. It's the betrayal of everything you dared to reveal to them. Epictetus said, "Very little is necessary for a contented life." It all exists within yourself, in your perspective. Your worth isn't defined by their silence. It's a wake-up call to reclaim your power, to remember that your strength was never theirs to take. We've all felt that sting, that wound cutting deeper than words ever could. You entrusted them with your most vulnerable aspects, expecting empathy, understanding. Instead, they gave you nothing. Not a word, not a gesture, just a wall of cold silence. That quiet wasn't coincidental. It wasn't merely awkwardness or confusion. No, it was a choice. A deliberate withdrawal from your truth, a decision to leave you exposed, vulnerable, like an open wound left untreated. Perhaps they didn't know how to respond. Perhaps they didn't care enough to try. Either way, their silence wasn't neutral. It was the loudest betrayal they could have delivered. And in that moment, you might have felt insignificant, foolish, as if your vulnerability was a mistake. You might have questioned your own worth, wondering if it was excessive to ask for someone to meet you halfway. But Stoicism teaches us this: your courage to be open, your willingness to trust, that is your power. Their silence reflects them, not you. It reveals their incapacity, their inability to meet you where you are. It's not your fault. It's their failure. Let this betrayal transform you. It's not a reason to close your heart. It's a lesson to guard it, to choose who you allow in. Empowerment comes from deciding who deserves your vulnerability. The pain of this experience carves a new wisdom into your soul. Your happiness doesn't depend on their response. You are sufficient as you are. Their silence doesn't diminish you. It only makes you realize that your strength, your worth, your peace are yours to protect. So let this betrayal be your turning point. You're not weaker for sharing. You're stronger for learning whom to trust with your heart. Build relationships that honor your openness. Let your vulnerability not be a weakness but a strength not everyone deserves to witness. The power is yours to control, and the silence of others can never silence your truth. A silent friend fears your growth. Have you ever felt the chill of a friend's silence when you begin to ascend? You open your heart, share your victories, your aspirations, your dreams, your light. And what do they offer in return? Nothing. No words of encouragement, no pride in your growth, just emptiness. Zeno said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one." And that's the truth you must confront. Their silence isn't about you. It concerns their fear. It's their insecurity strangling on the brilliance of your potential. It affects you differently, doesn't it? Because it's personal. You expected them to cheer you on, to celebrate your progress. But their silence speaks louder than any applause. It's not neutral. It's not accidental. It reflects their fear of your growth, fear of how you shine so brilliantly it threatens to outshine them. Perhaps they can't bear to see you rise because it reminds them of their own stagnation. Perhaps they're trapped in their own self-doubt, paralyzed by their own immobility. Whatever the reason, their silence forms a wall, not a bridge. And when you encounter that wall, it becomes crystal clear: not everyone wants your success. Not everyone wants to see you soar. But here's where Stoicism offers a brutal truth: you don't exist to meet their expectations or fight for their approval. You exist to walk your own path. Their fear, their envy, their silence, it has nothing to do with your journey. It reflects their inner limitations, not yours. Empowerment doesn't come from waiting for their approval. It comes from outgrowing their silence, from understanding that their silence isn't a void. It's a cage they've built around their own fears. You don't need their validation to climb higher. Their silence is the weight that will only hinder you if you permit it. This lesson cuts deeply, but it will transform you. It will teach you to seek companions who want to see you rise, who want to witness your becoming. Their silence should fuel your determination, not extinguish it. You aren't small enough to fit into their comfort zone. You are boundless. Keep climbing. Keep growing. Surround yourself with those who celebrate your victories, not those threatened by them. Your growth is your triumph. And no one's fear can seize that from you. Silence reveals their loyalty's limits. There's a moment in your life when the walls close in. The calls cease, the messages dry up, and silence becomes the loudest betrayal you never anticipated. You're not just drowning in your own tempest. You're screaming underwater. And those you called sisters vanish. That silence, it's not empty. It's a mirror. And what it reflects will gut you. You thought they were unwavering. It turns out they were steadfast only until discomfort arose. You needed a veritable warrior, and they became ghosts. That's when you realize some people were loyal only to your light, not your darkness. They appreciated the version of you that smiled through chaos, but they couldn't stomach the version that bled. And it strikes you like a thunderbolt: you never had a tribe. You had spectators. They applauded when you were winning. But when you were on your knees, they folded their arms, sealed their lips, and watched. Epictetus once wrote, "Love the people fate brings you, but do so with all your heart." That's the key, with all your heart. Not halfway, not seasonally, not silent when it matters. If their loyalty has conditions, it's not loyalty. It's performance. It's a mask, one that slips the moment you're no longer useful. But listen, this pain is a blessing. Because silence is truth with the volume increased. Their absence is your revelation. It's not a loss, it's exposure. You didn't lose a friend. You uncovered a fraud. This is where you elevate. This is the pivotal moment. You don't beg for loyalty. You command it by the strength of your standards and the fire in your soul. You surround yourself with warriors who won't flinch when the world crumbles. Who answer your silence with presence. Who walk through fire just to stand beside you. So let their silence echo. Let it pierce. Let it cut so deeply you never forget it. And then let it sharpen you. Let it make you cold where you used to be soft, guarded where you used to be open, and dangerous in your solitude. Because the most powerful version of you doesn't chase loyalty. She attracts it. And she never forgets those who went silent when she screamed. Silence masks their envy. You finally accomplished it. You transformed your chaos into clarity, your weakness into strength, your vision into victory. You illuminated the sky with your fire, expecting those close to you to howl with pride. But instead, all you heard was silence, not confusion, not distance, just that heavy, bitter quiet, the kind that doesn't echo because it's weighed down by envy. And in that moment, you realized something savage: those who watched you grow closest are sometimes the ones who desire it least. Not because you injured them, but because you reminded them of everything they couldn't become. That silence wasn't support. It was suppression. They weren't speechless. They were spiteful. And the worst part? They disguised it with fake peace. A forced smile, a delayed message, a lifeless nod when you spoke of your next move. They were drowning in comparison while pretending to applaud. Stoicism cuts through this illusion like a knife. Zeno said directly, "He gains time who doesn't stare at his neighbor's life but only his own." But people lost in envy don't look inward. They obsess over your rise, your steps, your spotlight, while letting their own lives decay in silence. They won't say it. They won't admit it. But their silence screams. Every pause, every excuse, every sudden distance, it's saturated with resentment. This isn't just emotional. It's surgical. It's betrayal without the knife. And the pain, it's not loud, it's cold. It's a hand that once held yours now trembling with jealousy. And it cuts deeply because these were the people who once knew your dreams. Now they choke on them. But let this sharpen you. Let it harden the steel in your soul. You don't exist to dim your fire just to prevent others from melting. You don't shrink for silence. You rise through it. Their envy isn't your burden. It's their mirror. And when it shatters, they'll be left with the pieces. You'll be too far gone. You didn't lose them. You simply outgrew what they couldn't admit. So burn brighter, move louder. And when that silence meets you again at the gates of your next victory, don't wait for the applause. Smile and walk through alone. Because your triumph never needed noise. It needed truth. A silent friend avoids accountability. You confronted them with the truth, the betrayal, the broken promise. The moment they let you fall, you didn't arrive combative. You came with facts, with wounds still open, with the kind of pain that doesn't scream but bleeds. And what did they return? Silence. Not sorrow. Not a fragment of responsibility, just a hollow stare and lips sealed by fear. And that silence revealed everything. They weren't confused. They weren't ashamed. They simply didn't want to be held accountable. They'd rather let the bridge burn than cross it and face their actions. That silence wasn't peace. It was cowardice disguised. It's one thing to make mistakes. We all do. But it's another to flee from the aftermath. To leave someone drowning in the wreckage while pretending your hands are clean. That kind of silence doesn't just echo. It poisons. Cleanthes said clearly, "Look within. Do not allow the peculiarity of the thing to distract you from the worth of the action." But a coward won't look within. A coward points fingers, hides behind time, and waits for you to forget. That quiet wasn't healing. It was hiding. And in their silence, they left you carrying the guilt of their crime. As if your pain was too loud for them to handle. This is the kind of betrayal that doesn't slap. It suffocates. It transforms someone you trusted into a phantom who walks free while you suffocate on the apology they never had the courage to give. But let that tear your illusions apart. Let that silence wake you. Because those who cannot admit their flaws will never correct them. They'll continue repeating the same cycle, hurting, hiding, and hoping you'll remain too loyal to call it what it is. But no more. You don't need people who vanish the moment their truth becomes uncomfortable. You need warriors of honesty. People who face the fire they started and fight to rebuild what they destroyed. That silence they gave you, let it be a funeral. Bury the version of you that tolerated it. And rise ruthless, not bitter, but better. Not broken, but built. Because you didn't lose someone honest. You lost someone who couldn't look you in the eyes. So speak your truth even if it echoes alone, because the authentic ones will answer back, and the rest? Let their silence condemn them. Silence steals your peace. You were barely holding yourself together. Your world had split in two. Grief tearing through your chest like thunder, doubt clawing at your ribs, chaos closing in like fog. And in that collapse, you reached out. Not for answers, not for rescue, just for a voice, just for someone to sit in the storm with you. But all you received was silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that screams behind closed lips. The kind that transforms a friend's face into a stranger's mask. And in that silence, you lost something deeper than calm. You lost trust. Because that silence didn't support you. It abandoned you. Chrysippus wrote, "You always have the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you cannot control." But when you're drowning and the people you love choose silence, it feels like betrayal disguised as wisdom. It wasn't their responsibility to fix you. No. But it was their opportunity to show up. And they didn't. Their silence didn't comfort you. It robbed you. It took the little light you had and left you with the weight of your own breath. That kind of silence isn't neutral. It's venom in a quiet vial, dripping slowly, poisoning everything soft within you. And yet, this is the moment you awaken. You realize you can't implore people to be what they aren't. You can't anchor your sanity in someone else's absence. Their silence may have stolen your peace, but you're reclaiming it. Stoicism didn't emerge to make you emotionless. It emerged to make you untouchable. Because once you learn to build calm in your own chest, no phantom can haunt it. You stop needing apologies. You stop chasing echoes. You build a fortress with thicker walls and sharper doors. Your peace was never theirs to keep. You gave them access, and they left it in ruins. Now you rebuild. You craft silence that heals, not harms. And the next time chaos knocks, you won't search for a voice. You'll become the thunder. Let their silence echo. You've already learned the music of resilience. A silent friend undermines your trust. Trust is a delicate flame, warm when protected, dangerous when neglected. You handed it to them, raw and honest, hoping they'd hold it with care. But when you spoke your truth, opened your chest, and let your wounds breathe, all they gave you was silence. Not support, not truth, just silence. And that silence, it wasn't stillness. It was corrosion. It didn't preserve peace. It poisoned it. Because in moments where vulnerability requires response, silence isn't passive. It's a quiet betrayal that rots the foundations of loyalty from within. Chrysippus wrote, "If someone can demonstrate that what I think or do is incorrect, I will gladly change, for I seek the truth." But what happens when they don't seek truth? What happens when they choose to look away? When you offer honesty and they respond with indifference, their silence wasn't peacekeeping. It was sabotage. It told you clearly, your truth didn't matter. And nothing fractures the soul faster than watching someone pretend not to notice when you're unraveling before them. That kind of silence doesn't echo. It devours. It leaves you questioning every word you said, every piece of yourself you shared. It teaches you not to speak, not to feel, not to trust. But that lesson, it's not weakness. It's the forge where you shape your next chapter. Because Stoicism doesn't teach you to stop trusting. It teaches you to trust more wisely. You stop giving your truth to empty hands. You stop planting roots in soil that's already dead. You rise sharper, wiser, colder where necessary. You learn that their silence didn't reflect your worth. It spotlighted their inability to meet you where you stood. And that spotlight saved you. It showed you who isn't built to bear the weight of genuine connection. So you release them. You rebuild the bridge with stone, not sand. And the next time you offer trust, it's to someone with the courage to answer your truth with their own. You're not broken for believing, you're alive for surviving. Let their silence echo in the distance. You've already chosen a new frequency. Silence teaches you self-reliance. They left you in darkness. No words, no voice, no comfort, just silence. A silence that screamed louder than betrayal ever could. And in that moment when your knees buckled and your lungs gasped for air, when you reached for a hand and found emptiness, you encountered someone. You met yourself. Not the version they knew. Not the diluted version created to please and maintain peace. No, you met the warrior residing in your bones. And suddenly, their silence wasn't a void. It was a mirror showing you what's been waiting inside all along. Cleanthes didn't write for tender hearts. He wrote, "For those standing in the ashes of broken hope, look well into yourself. There is a source of strength that will always spring up if you always look." He understood what you're experiencing now. That people will disappear when the fire rises. But strength will emerge from your ribs and remind you who you truly are. You didn't break in their silence. You broke free from needing them. From relying on borrowed voices to validate your worth. You were cast into silence, and you rose as the echo. It cuts deeply, doesn't it? Realizing those you trusted couldn't handle your storm, that their presence was only genuine when skies were clear. But now you understand that solitude wasn't punishment. It was your rebirth. Every minute you stood alone, you were building strength where you once leaned. You were sewing armor into skin that once tore too easily. You were becoming what they could never be, your own foundation. Their silence didn't destroy you. It revealed you. It handed you the hammer. And you became the architect of your own survival. And now you walk with thunder in your stride. You speak with fire behind your teeth. You don't beg for support. You choose it carefully, intentionally, selectively. You don't need them to stand. You never did. You were just waiting to realize it. Let their silence echo forever. It was the final push that awakened your strength. You are your own foundation now. And no silence can shake that. From silence to steel. Their silence didn't break you. It forged you. When they abandoned you in darkness, expecting you to drown in your own pain, you found fire. Every empty word they didn't say became a hammer on your soul, shaping you into someone they'll never recognize. You begged for comfort. They gave you nothing but coldness. And in that brutal stillness, you learned something savage and beautiful: your strength doesn't need their approval. You don't need their voice to validate your worth because you found your own roar echoing in the silence. Epictetus spoke of inner strength, but what he didn't tell you is that strength doesn't just appear. It's unearthed, screaming and bloody, from the very depths of pain. And now you are the storm that no silence can silence. You are the warrior they never saw coming. They cannot touch what you've become. Subscribe. Share. Stand with those who rise, not with those who disappear.